Nam Joon from BTS, RM, will almost certainly live until he is in his 90s. The same can be said of Jin from BTS, so long as they both take good care of themselves. Their left hands here show their inherited genetic traits. They are both very healthy. They have very, very good genes, and they have the potential for great longevity. Good. Hello, my name is Pisces Palmist. I am going to be revealing in this video secrets about the three major Palmer lines, in particular the lifeline. I'm going to be revealing some secrets here, information you won't find anywhere else online. What you will hear most of the time online is people very commonly regurgitating the same thing, which about the lifeline is that, a long lifeline doesn't necessarily mean a long life. Well, that's true. A short lifeline doesn't necessarily mean a short life. That's what you'll hear people say. But you will never see a short lifeline on the hands of an elderly person. I mean, very old. Now, here's a secret already. You will never see a longer lifeline on the left hand than on the right. The lifeline will always be longer on the left hand because what you have been given, what you have inherited, your genetics show you the potential for what you could have at its greatest. The lifeline on the right hand shows you how you have manifested from what you have been given. Now, how did I come to the conclusion that RM and Jin from BTS will both live until they are a good age? The truth lies in all three major Palmer lines. And what I mean by that is the lifeline, the headline, and the heart line. In Indian palmistry, the heart line is a measure of the longevity, a person's lifespan. The width of the entire palm represents the entirety of a person's potential, a good 100 years or so. Now, it's said that if a heart line spans the length of this, they have the potential to live to 100 years. But as you may well have heard me say many times, you cannot conclude from one sign alone in the hands. And the same goes particularly for something as potentially harmful as this when concluding. The right hand must be cross-referenced with what we see in the left hand. Now, as long as the heart line, the headline, and the lifeline are all strong, long, deep, clear, free from defects, this provides us with a strong indication for longevity, particularly if they are all long. If the heart line ceases to function, then so too, does life. Life itself ends. If the brain shuts down, then the rest of the organs do. And of course, the life itself, we need our vitality to keep functioning. All three major Palmer lines need to be assessed and cross-reference with each other. They need to all have a good strength and length and be free from a significant number of defects. In Indian palmistry, a lifeline that begins with an island on the left hand is said to be a sign of adoption. A lifeline that begins with an island on the right hand is said to be a sign of illegitimacy. Now, if we pay close attention to Jin's hand here, you can see that the heart line spans for a great deal of time across the hand, right over onto the center of Jupiter. This is 90% of the hand. The lifeline is strong, well, deeply marked. It's long. It curves around the entire base of the thumb and looks to wrap its way around underneath the thumb itself. Now, when we look at the headline, if you look very closely, it does, in fact, it's faint, but it does, in fact, reach across the entirety of the palm. So, genetically speaking, Jin has excellent genes and has the potential to live well into his 90s. Now, it must be said that if you're looking at your hands and you see a short lifeline, do not fret, because actually fate is in your hands. And if you make changes right now in your life, if you get yourself a brisk walk a day, stop smoking, quit drinking as much, really make some dietary changes. And I'm not talking about going to the gym and smashing weights daily. I just mean consistent, healthy life changes, and you make them here and now, and you keep that up. I guarantee you, your lifeline will change. Essentially, our hands reveal to us if we keep going the way we're going, if we keep doing what we're doing, this is what will happen. It shows a view down the road. In some respects, the hands are a little bit like a cloud in the distance, and by the time they reach us, they will provide a different shape for most of us in most ways. Certain things are certainly more predestined than others, but to a great degree, most of us have a great deal of purchase to power to make change in our lives. It should also be noted that no one should ever predict the time or date of death for a client or anyone else. This is potentially very, very harmful information, which is why I won't put a number on either RM or Jin from BTS. I will just say that they will live to a great age. I'm not going to speak of the others. I can't really get as good a read. Lines that shoot upwards towards the self, the Jupiter mount here, these are known as ambition lines. These are times in a person's life when they are young and they are excelling and they are developing feelings of the self. On RM's hand, we can see a significant development towards the career, towards making great change towards his career and future prospects, because we see this ambition line rising towards Saturn. And then what's really interesting, we see another effort line here rising towards what looks like actually in between Saturn and Apollo. When we see an effort line rising towards Apollo, it really shows achievements in gaining reputation. Effort lines that might rise from the lifeline towards Mercury are known actually as business lines. They represent achievement and success in industry, commerce, business, science, and logic. Island on the lifeline itself is a potential sign of illness or serious upheaval. As I mentioned quite recently on JK's lifeline, this is a potential illness or accident at some point in his life around the age of 39 to 40. Now, this is just a prediction because, again, he could make changes in the present to change that future cloud, and by the time it reaches him, it might look like a very different shape. The trajectory of the lifeline itself actually goes some way to explain a person's psychological state. In the case of RM, Jin, and JK, we see actually very stable, level-headed mentality here with a lifeline that also represents a great deal of vitality as well. There's a combination of boldness, courageousness, great amount of charisma, at the same time as practicality with all three of them, in fact. But when we see a lifeline that shoots its way out towards Luna rather than wrapping its way around Venus, in fact, what we see is a psychological state that's much more inclined towards the imagination, a much more excitable and ambitious mindset. Is someone who has a lifeline that boldly swings outwards, almost in a straight, sporting, purposeful direction. And actually, we can see here that RM is more that way inclined than Taehyung. However, both, in fact, all have a lifeline that wrap themselves around that Venus mount, essentially coming towards something of a similar conclusion. And, lastly, I'm going to leave you with the fact that a mole on the lifeline in Indian palmistry is said to be a sign of someone who lives a very happy life. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Please do subscribe and please consider becoming a member if you'd like to learn more about palmistry.